Welcome back to the Baseball Blue Book Podcast, where we focus on the journey, not the destination. Brought to you by the Baseball Blue Book app. Are you in the book? And now, your host, Eric Folmer. All right, welcome back to the Baseball Blue Book Podcast. Eric Folmer here, the president of the Baseball Blue Book. And today we've got Eric Folmer on, head coach at Kutztown University. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
Things are great. Love the fall. The fall classics going. I'm having a lot of fun watching the teams play. I know you've got a couple ties to at least one of the teams. And we'll get into that a little bit. But why don't you go ahead and take a few minutes, introduce yourself, and give us a little bit of background.
Folmer from Kutztown University, and very, very fortunate to be here and be in a place I'm very familiar with in Pennsylvania, where I grew up, and really close to where some pretty important games are going on right now, not too far from us. The pinnacle of our sport, and so it's been fun to watch the World Series and the excitement. So many of our kids on our team, I would say probably 95% of our team are Phillies fans, so they're going crazy, loving to get to watch their team and obviously have success. But yeah, just to give you a little background for on me and my journey, and it started really early. With an understanding that I was headed towards the coaching side of things. My dad is a high school coach. He's retired. Was a coach. I was an athletic director at a high school, and I'm one of there's 4 boys and a girl, and all of the boys in my family have headed to that coaching path.
Awesome.
We're all coaches. So I think from a young age, growing up and being kind of led me to go, this is something I definitely want to pursue. Right after they tell me I can't play anymore, I want to make sure that I do what he has. He had so much passion for it and loved being around it. So. From there, I went to college, played at Old Dominion and down in Virginia, and had the opportunity right after I got done playing to jump in world from a guy that coached me in college, and then had taken a junior college from Old Dominion. And I jumped to a college called Young Harris, which is down in Georgia, and it was a junior college at the time. It's now a 4-year school, so Division II program right now, and so I had the great opportunity to coach down there for 2 years, and we had some great young men in those programs. Went back to Old Dominion for a few, coached there, and had the opportunity to coach a guy that's playing in the Fall Classic right now, and then jumped to Penn State for several years. It was at the United States Military Academy for a year, Louisiana Monroe for several years, and now I've been fortunate enough to land here at Kutztown, where I'm excited to be and to work to get this program back to where it's been before. So I'm excited.
Well, that is quite the resume, and a lot of really good programs, a lot of great coaches that you've had the opportunity to kind of work under, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with your philosophy and how you kind of approach the game. But it probably started, like you said, with your dad. I'm going to probably go a different direction, because this is all about journeys and kind of the journey of getting to where you were. But you hear that a lot, right? I've got a brother that's a head coach. I've got a brother-in-law that he was an athletic director. Now he's a superintendent, but it's all coaches, and they all have kids that are playing. There's something about the dad being involved with the high school level of coaching, right? Because it's overwhelming. It's all encompassing, right? Their whole life is coaching, and so when you kind of watched him, and as you got to maybe an age that you could really understand what was going on, what were the things that were the most alluring to what he was doing? Because it certainly wasn't his free time, because there is no free time as a coach, right?
No, you're right. It wasn't that. I think the thing that was so appealing to us is the passion he had for the sport, and kind of pass that passion to us and to be around it. And the great thing for us, it was in high school. And we were able to be with him a lot. So since we were 6 years old, that was the age we were allowed to be on the field with him. So at 6, We were at every practice. We were at every game. We were with him, so we got to be part of it. So we felt like we were part of it, and not just somebody that got to see him when he came home from the game or whatnot. So he think that was a big part for all of us, because all four of us, like I said, chose to go down that coaching
Yeah.
line or whatever. So I think that's what the lure was, is that he made us part of it, feel like we were part of it and got a chance to be around it. We shared the same passion. So it's just like hunting or anything else that people do,
Yeah.
that they have the opportunity to go out and spend time with family and do that. For us was a big thing. We got a chance to go to all the games with them, and then obviously after the games get down and in football, obviously you're watching a lot of film and video and do
That's
that
awesome.
with them too. So it was something for us that
Now,
was just
that's really neat, because the bond that and I watched that. I was not in the coaching world. I did different things, but watching my brother, and he's got girls and he coaches soccer, and it's watching them being part of that team is so, it was so important, and they really feel, even at the younger age, that the respect that they received from the players. They saw the respect that the players had for their parents or their dad as the coach. That is certainly something that's special, and only people that have had a dad that was a coach really understand that. And so
sure.
you said the brothers, are they all in you said all in coaching, the same sport, baseball? Are they cross kind of other sports as well?
So that's a great, yeah. So I have a football coach. So four boys, and my oldest brother, the second oldest, is the head baseball coach at Oral Roberts University in
Awesome.
Oklahoma. My younger brother, actually, he's a football coach. He's the offensive coordinator at Elon down in North Carolina. And then my youngest brother is the head baseball coach at the high school we went to.
Wow.
So yeah, so we have three baseball, one.
Okay, that is awesome. That is great. Actually, ORU is where one of the schools that my dad was actually going to be a professor at. He took a different position.
Okay.
He went to Evangel University, and that's why we got down to Springfield. So that's pretty awesome. So let's get into your career. When did was it part of growing up with your dad and in that atmosphere that you knew that you wanted to be a coach, or what was your first? Obviously, your first goal was major league, making it to the major leagues, or did you know you were going to be a coach? How did that work?
Sure. Any young kid, right? Whether it be watching the sports you love to play and see, I think for me, as a little, like all of us, I wanted to play in the major leagues or play in the NFL, right? So
Yep.
that's absolutely, as a kid, what I wanted to do. But I think, probably, I don't know, around little league age, probably for me, I knew that I wanted to coach at some point. And again, whenever that music stopped for me,
Yeah.
whenever that was, I knew that I wanted to get into the coaching world, because I had that opportunity to be around my dad. I watched the passion he had for it and the love he had for it, and it brought us in, and we loved it. And so I knew that it's something that I wanted to pursue at some point when it ended for me. As I got through high school and got into college, and those days were ending for me, I knew that was the route that I wanted to go. So I think from a young age, I knew that's what I wanted to pursue. Eventually, I was done playing, and I got I majored in education.
Okay.
I was going to go back, and in my world, graduate, go back maybe to high school, and jump in and start teaching and coaching at the high school level. And I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity right when I graduated with a guy that was my position coach for 3 years in college, had just taken a J. I was fortunate enough that he offered me an opportunity, and I jumped right after that.
That's awesome. You mentioned passion a number of times, and less about the actual game, but about the passion that they had for maybe the game or for the players. Talk about the passion. What was the real passion? Was it the game? Was it the teaching these kids kind of the fundamentals? Was it about the mental side? Talk about what passion meant when you grew up, and how you've translated that over to what you're doing today.
Sure. Well, I think the passion than just the actual game, right? The passion is the desire to a group of young men or women, whatever you're coaching, come together and bring them together and help them grow as people, help them grow on the field, and the passion to be around them and want to help them. I think that's what I saw my father do is bring 100 guys together and watch them grow as a unit on the field and off the field too, because there was a lot of help that you had, and you were committed in that coaching world to not only help them on the field as athletes, but to help them off the field to grow as young men, and be productive men in society, and be great, be great sons, be great brothers, be great husbands, be great fathers, right? So that was the thing I think that pulled me in, that family. Kutztown, our huddle, we break with family, because that's what it's about for me. Guys are more to me than just athletes I'm going to see for a handful of years, and they're going to move on. They're family, and they're always. The passion for me was the passion of doing everything right, and you got a chance to see that. And it wasn't all about the wins and losses. And sure, we competed and worked, and we still do to win. But at the end of the day, it's about a lot more than just.
Is that part of the process that you go through and your coaches go through from the recruiting process? Are you looking for particular players that are going to fit into your family kind of model and the passion that has to come through there? Yeah.
I think everybody's a little bit different. I'm a shorter guy. I'm a high motor guy. I like guys that are high motor guys. Usually the guys that are kind of the guys for me. Not that they're not great players, but I want guys that are blue collar, high motor work, going to get after it. And we've got to find those guys. And I think, in baseball in general, dealing with full scholarship athletes, you're dealing with kids that at the Division I level are getting partial scholarships. At the Division II level, depending on where you're at and how much money you have, you're dealing with very, very small offers, right? You're not paying for a lot of school here. So you want to make sure that your program are kids that fit what you are. And for us, it's guys that are just blue collar guys that work hard, that are passionate about the sport classroom and passionate about being good people.
There's quite the competition in the central and east side of Pennsylvania. I'll tell you, all the coaches there, it's the blue collar kind of mentality. Again, kind of what I miss about that area is the blue collar, hardworking, get dirty, get down and dirty, and just get your job done. And I think that's really a great kind of attitude to have, and you have a lot of people to choose from. Now, the scholarship versus, they're coming there, they're playing because they love it. It really has to do with then the academic side, because of what they're doing, right? Everybody's got that goal to make it all the way, but we certainly know that's the odds of that's happening is very, very small. So we've got to really focus as a college coach if what's most important for these kids. Talk about how you kind of go through that and help these kids, because that is a big transition, right? And every player, the realization of what's about to happen comes at different times, right? Sometimes it's in high school and they figure out what they're going to do. Sometimes it's a little later, and you're the one that has to help them through that transition. Talk about that a bit.
Sure. Yeah. I think, each young man that comes into any college program has to understand they're a student athlete, right? They're professionals here as far as there's that student side of it, right? And we're fortunate here to have a great degree like many institutions in our state. So we have a great degree that we have to offer. And obviously it's getting those guys to understand we want you to obviously come in and do well in all the areas you're going to have. You're a student first. So we're going to make sure we take care of the academic side of things, and you're going to have some there. And then obviously that athletic side is right behind it, and making sure we're growing there too. But it's important that the schools are picking have maybe a degree that they're interested in, right? Because like you said, so many kids have an idea what they want to major in, but so many kids get to college and change things. This morning with one of our guys, and we've had two guys that just actually changed majors, right? So that happens quite a bit too, and just helping them in that journey to find what it is that they want to do after they're done, right? So that's a fun side of it too. We get a chance to be part of helping mold these young men and help them find that path that they're getting ready to go down from an academic.
I haven't asked this question before, but do you find yourself as a coach spending more time in working with these players in figuring out who they are going to be long term than the baseball side? They've got talent, right? They know how to play the game. are you maybe? Do you understand my question? I mean, is a lot of it has to do with kind of the development of who they are from a man perspective than it is baseball?
Sure. Well, you know, as you know, the NCAA, you're limited in hours of actually on the field and instruction and stuff like that. So there's no question they're probably with kids communicating, talk about you know, the academic side of things. He's talking about the mental side of things, talking about a lot of different things that are outside of just, hey, we're on the field doing some skill instruction, right? So there is a lot of time spent that is away from the baseball field. There's a lot of time spent, like you earlier about, hey, which path do we want to head down here academically and mentally and all those things. So yeah, there's a lot of time spent as coaches in all sports that are away from the
that is absolutely true. Is that something that you actually recognized young with your dad and what he did, or was that something that you discovered once you made that switch over to being a coach and went, whoa, this there's a lot more on the personal side than there is about the X's and O's in the game?
Yeah, well, I think I was fortunate enough to get to see some of that, but I don't think you realize it until you actually do it, right?
Yeah.
And when you get a chance to sit in the other chair and go, oh, wow, okay, didn't realize there was as much time spent on some of these other things. I think going into it, and again, I had a little idea, but going into it, you're going, all I'm going to be doing is coaching baseball. That's it. I'm going to be doing talking baseball. That's it the whole time.
Right.
But that's not the way it is.
No, I think that's probably a good lesson or a bit that people should understand. If you're actually watching this and going, hey, I want to be a coach, it isn't just about being on the field, and certainly a huge benefit, right? I think the last couple coaches said, man, just the smell of the grass cut and in the morning and the dew and getting on that field, there's pretty much there isn't a better place to be, and that certainly is definitely a lure. But then there's all the challenges, the personal challenges, and we've gone through a couple of those, right? Obviously, 2020, 2021 was major challenges for the coaches across the country. And we're not going to talk much about that, but really what I'd like to ask is, did you see a transition or a change in mindset from the kids that are coming up today differently than what it was maybe 5-6 years ago? And if so, how are you and your staff handling some of those challenges that we're going through?
Right. Well, I don't know that we have been directly affected by some of those things, but I think it has certainly affected the young kids coming out of high school and stuff like that in a few different ways. One, from a recruiting standpoint, college rosters that have kids that are COVID seniors, or, you know, that are redshirt. You have kids that are much older in college now. So you're talking about, there's a lot of roster spots that are gone for these young kids that are in high school trying to find that right fit and that right home. And I've just gone through him, getting an opportunity to pick the school he's going to, and very happy for him. But like I said, that's been the last few years pretty tough for these young men coming up trying to go, all right, where am I going to go? And some of the opportunity that maybe they had years ago are not there because he's full. And I think it has impacted some of the kids nationally from a social standpoint just a little bit, because when that all happened, they were shut down and they were separated a little bit more than the normal, right? So I think you see maybe, I don't know that saying some immaturity is the right word, but just again, socially, you know, they had to be apart and weren't around each other and doing some of the things that they were normally doing. So I think you'll see that. Now, unfortunately, we haven't been affected that way with our young men, but I think as a whole, there's probably some of that is going on, and certainly from a roster impact for these young guys and trying to find that fit, it's been a little bit tougher.
You know, the answer that you provided on the roster sizes, right? You've got these, you know, you got 5th year, 6th year, and sometimes with a red shirt, you may have somebody that's 23, 24 years old. And
we've got some 35-year-old men playing in college right now.
Yeah. And having a 17-year-old boy coming in, there's a big change, right? That 17 to 22 is a massive, massive change in these boys' lives. And I think, you know, handling that is a challenge, and it's something that we haven't been had to do. Well, you mentioned your son going through that. Do you see that what that did was elevate the competition or the abilities of these kids, or is it simply just a lack of roster positions and we're just trying to do the best that we can at this point?
Yeah, I think there's several emotions for these young men that they're going through right now. I think there's frustration because there's maybe not the opportunity. I think it does level understanding that you're going, hey, if I want to have the opportunity maybe to play at one of these schools, then I've got to raise my level. And there's a level of work that's been put in that maybe hadn't been in the past. Yeah. But it's no question change just as far as an opportunity standpoint, because again, you've got more rosters that are deeper, older, and again, everybody is getting capped at some point too.
Right.
And one, maybe the number of kids going out, leaving high school to play college baseball at any level, including the junior colleges to the NAIA to the NCAA, is just some of those opportunities aren't there because there's kids still playing, right? But I think it's an exciting time for those kids still, but it can be frustrating for some of them because the opportunities maybe they had hoped for or dreamed of just maybe aren't
you know what the great thing about baseball players though, good baseball players understand that failure is part of the growth, right? If you don't know how to come back to the box after striking out, then it's probably not the sport for you. And I see that I see that a lot, right? I see that, and certainly this is about baseball, but athletics, across the board, you could probably say the same thing for. But there's really this idea that the adversity and the challenges are a time to rise. And you watch it in the Fall Classic. I'm watching these guys. You got a team that is a wild card. They had some massive struggles, the Phillies, throughout the year. And they're looking like they're the best team in baseball right now, and through adversity, through the challenges that they might have had. And it really correlates across the board at every level. You've been doing this for quite a while, and you've seen a lot of the changes with travel teams and different leagues. And, we've got away with the focus of high school baseball, and it's gone into the elite plays and the different things. From your opinion, what's good and what's bad from the transition over maybe the last 15 to 20 years?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's a question that, quite honestly, as college guys, we have seen a lot and been asked, different people. And I think that, the travel baseball has been outstanding as far as helping the level of playing. Kids are playing more baseball than they've ever played, right?
Yep.
Growing up for me in Pennsylvania, my kids play a lot more than I ever played. Question about that. So there's great opportunity that's provided. I think the one thing that in unbelievable great travel organizations that do it the right way, that prepare their kids in all areas, and just that are super beneficial for the young man and certainly for us as college coaches. But the one thing I think that speaking for some of the coaches is that gets lost a little bit if the programs aren't doing right. The travel programs is you lose that team atmosphere.
Right.
You lose that hey man, we're going out and we're competing to win as a unit, as a team, rather than going out there and going, hey, I'm going to go throw my 3 innings, or I'm going to get my at bats. Yeah. And as long as I do well, I'm going to walk out here and with a smile and be fine. That's one thing I think we would like to see change. You go, hey, we want to make sure they're all doing it the right way, as many of those programs are, and they're competing the right way, and they're competing to win. Something's on the line every time they go out there.
Yeah.
And, whereas your high school, when you're competing with the community you grew up in, and you're playing with the guys you grew up with, and there seems to be a little more on the line. So again, I think that's the difference. Is just making sure, and when you bring guys into your program, they're coming from different high schools, those different travel programs, them understanding now, hey, this is about us. Any individual here, it's about us.
Yeah.
And achieving what we want as a team and a unit.
That's a great point, because one of the things you hear now is there's players, they're actually being recruited for travel teams, right? We'll fly you down and we got a tournament this weekend, and so that they all go down, and one, it eliminates people that can't afford that. So you've reduced the number of the pool, but two, back to your point, there really isn't a lot of team atmosphere in that, right? It is the me point is, I'm here. I'm on multiple teams. It's kind of like an all-star team, which there's very little camaraderie and bonding in an all-star team, right? Because they go back to their own. It's fun to see people. It's fun. I think of just the all-star game, the Major League all-star game. Lots of fun, right? But it's not about winning. It's about their own personal, experience and what they can do. But that's a really good point. What do you, if you had any advice, how do you do that? Because it's tough. Because it is about winning, and everybody wants to be on this top team. And they continue to move. What would be some advice that you might give if you were the one that was running some of these elite travel teams?
But I think I have some great friends that are running travel programs that do an outstanding job, and to me, they do it the right way. For me, I think it starts with when you're doing it is just together, right? And I think too many of them don't do that.
That's
right?
great.
So spread out. Like you said, they show up together. Well, when you're practicing together and you're spending time together, you're working and you're sweating, together as a team, you build some of that teamwork and camaraderie. So I think that's a big part of it, is actually being together, whether it be in the summer and the fall, and getting a chance to practice and work together, a group. And then when you're playing those games, you run it like a game. You don't run it like it's a showcase.
Yep.
You run it like it's a game. There's great value in having showcases and trying to showcase your young men. Mm-hmm. I understand that too, but more time playing the game the right way, right? Going out there to win the game rather than just play it and everybody's going to get some opportunity. And like I said, having the guy on the mound just go out there knowing, hey, I'm going to throw 2 or 3 innings and I'm good. And I'm going to walk out and I'm going to get some running in, and I'm probably not even coming to the games tomorrow. I'm just going to I'm going to see y'all later. I'll see you next weekend or whatever it is. It's a big part of it, because when you get to college, you're trying to build the chemistry and go, hey, no, this isn't about you. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about all of us coming together. Chemistry becomes such a big part of it. So I think just getting together, practicing, and being around each other. Well, I think also when you're going out and you're playing these games, you're playing to win those games. That's a big thing that you see.
Yeah.
Or for me, I would want to see.
It's a tough balance, and it's good that you have a couple of. I mean, there are some really good travel leagues, and there's there's always good and there's always bad, and it's trying to find a way of continuing to grow. And I think it's really good to get advice from these college coaches as well, because at the end of the day, that's what they're trying to accomplish, right? Their goal is to get into a college program that they're excited to be at, and if you're not giving the college coaches what they need, it's really what's the value of it? So I appreciate that feedback. That's great. Hey, good opportunity to just kind of talk about your program and what your philosophy is. And who are you looking for? We've talked about passion. You talked about doing it the right way. But what is Kutztown's program all about?
Sure, and that's a great question. I mean, I'm fortunate. This is year number 4 for me, and we history here at Kutztown. We've had some very great, some really good teams. We've had great coaches, great players that have come through here. I think for us, and like I said, I'm fortunate to be here. We went through a period in the, I guess, that 2015 to 20 area where we've kind of struggled a little bit. And so it's kind of about building our program back up to where it's been, and had some great coaches and players and whatnot in our history. What we talked about earlier, we're looking for blue collar guys. We want guys that are passionate, all 3 areas of what we're going to require them to be part of. And so we're looking for the guys that want to work and that are going to get after it, right? Those are the guys, because again, we're not offering full scholarships, so it's kind of left. So you better go out and find good kids that want to work and want to be part of building something, right? That's what we're looking for. So that's kind of where we're at, what we're looking for, guys. But it is the same thing we've talked about. It's the passion, the guys that work and want it, and those things.
If I was one that just wanted, I'm looking for a place to just, I want to play right from the beginning. Is that somebody that would they have that opportunity, or are you? Is there kind of your philosophy of you need to be part of the team, you need to earn it, or are they able to come in and grab a roster spot right away?
Sure. Well, the kids we recruit obviously are kids that are going to be on the roster, and they're going to be rostered guys. But funny, I had this conversation with one of our fall coaches here recently, and the great thing about baseball is we get to bring in the fall build our team a little bit and create some of those environments where some chemistry is created and whatnot. But guys get to win opportunity in the fall. The fall sports, they come in, they got to compete right away. They have a few weeks of preseason, they're jumping into it and they're figuring out. So it's a little tougher for the young men or women coming into their program to do it right now, right? Because they're just adjusting. Our guys get to come in, adjust, be around the team. We're our game 3 of the Fall World Series today. So,
awesome.
For us, our guys have had a chance to compete against each other and get a chance to win those opportunities. Because when they come in, when we're going out in the field and we're trying to figure out who's going to be in the starting lineup or who's going to be on the mound, all that kind of stuff for us, we throw our scholarship monies irrelevant. We're going to put the best player currently on the mound, positionally, whatever it might be. We're going to play the best guy.
I think that's great. That's great. I love it. I love it. All right, little shout out to Kutztown. What's the university like? What's the focuses? Just kind of a highlight of why this is a great university.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a great town. We're kind of, a lot of the state schools in Pennsylvania are very similar. We're in nestled in a cool little town in Pennsylvania, so it's a true college town. We've got a beautiful campus. We have several sports that, have success and continue to have success. But for me, it's about the people. You have a lot of good people. And really, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Besides everything else, is you have a bunch of people here that are passionate, that care about each other and want to help each other.
Is it a local draw, or is it more regional, or are you looking for players no matter where?
And that's a great question. I think for most schools in our state, or for us, I think you look at it is more regional as far as the number of kids that are here. Most of our kids are in Pennsylvania, but we do have some Northeastern PA. We have some New Jersey. We have a kid from North Carolina. We've had some kids from New York. So there's grabs in different areas. But for the most part, I would say it's regional, because there's several state schools in the state of Pennsylvania. So we have some of the schools that are an hour away, an hour and a half away, 2 hours away. And a lot of us are recruiting similar kids and whatnot. But yeah, for the most part, I would say many of us are somewhat regionally within a few hours anyway.
There's the point. I'm transitioning now. I'm sitting here thinking about what you just said about you're competing with some of the same guys. You guys are there. There's quite the fraternity of coaches in that area. You guys kind of all kind of know each other. You kind of probably bounce ideas off of each other. What is that like? And what was that part of kind of the draw of being where you're at, or is that something that you have wherever you go from a coaching perspective?
I think that the coaching fraternity is big, and it doesn't matter where you're at. I think it's a brotherhood that's pretty cool, right? And you can whether it's somebody really that you're out on the road recruiting, you get a chance to kind of strike up a conversation when you're watching a game with another coach, and it's pretty cool. You can go those conversations, but for me, there is a lot of familiarity in Pennsylvania, where I'm from originally, and know a lot of the coaches well. And we have a lot of outstanding coaches in our league, state, in the Northeast, and nationally, right? So it is cool to see the high level of coaches, though, that we do have in our state that are doing great jobs, and you do get to run into, obviously regularly recruiting and kind of catch up with. And without a doubt, I think all coaches in all sports have some of their mentor peers that they are always constantly bouncing things off of. The great thing for me is I have brothers who are coaches who are my best friends. Awesome. So we talk, right? We talk pretty regularly, whether it's my brother who's a college baseball coach, a college football coach, a high school baseball coach, or my dad who's retired, but I've got a guy that coached for quite a while.
That's quite the references that you have. That's quite. It has to be such a blessing to have a group of people that you can trust that much and bounce ideas off and get some advice. And I think that's really awesome. Last thing is advice. First is advice to those high school players that are taking a look at different schools. What's one piece of advice that you really would like to share with them?
Absolutely. Find the right fit, right? Find the right fit. For me, it's all about fit. And again, I just went with my high school senior, and our conversations in the last several years are about fit. Find the right fit where it feels the best, right? From all the things. I mean, you should have a list of 10 things, right? That you rank is what's your top priority down. And for some people, they're a little bit different,
Right.
but you're ranking those, and it's about fit. I think too many people get caught up in maybe level sometimes, or the brain is. And at the end of the day, find the right fit. Because if you find the right fit, you're going to have a chance to flourish as a young. So it's about fit. Find the right fit.
That's good. That's good. And you mentioned brand. Brand is so appealing, isn't it? I mean,
It is.
yeah, you typically don't have, a D2 school or a JUCO school up on your wall and somebody that you're cheering for. Baseball is a little bit different, but I think fit is absolutely, it's kind of a center point that I think every coach, or at least a good coach, would bring up is find that fit. And if we're not the right fit, then maybe we can help you find the right fit and by asking those questions. Well, what's a piece of advice for parents of these players?
A piece of advice for me is let your young lady handle it.
Yeah.
Let them be the one that reaches out to the coach. Let them be the conversations, because at the end of the day, they're the person that's going to be going there, living there, playing there, going to school there, doing that. So I think sometimes, again, parents do a great job in handling this, and some parents want to try to get a little too involved. Right? They are a big part of this decision, without a doubt. They will always be, always have been. But I think at times now we see some of the parents try to get a little too involved, and understanding that as coaches, we want to answer every question they have. We want to help them in this process as much as we can. More time with the young man than I do with the mom or dad. I want to spend more time getting him and figuring out for him if this is the right fit on our side too. Because just like the young man's trying to find the right fit, we're trying to make as sure as coaches and do our homework and make sure it's the right fit for us too. Yeah. So I would say to them just to take a step back and push them, encourage your young man or young woman to go ahead and say, hey, this is what you need to do. You should ask, but let them do it.
Yeah, great advice. Great advice. One of the things that you were talking about was, maybe a list of 10 things that the kid. Something a parent could do is help them make that list. Right, encourage them to prioritize those lists. If they say, "Oh, I love food. I need to make sure the food's good." Okay, is that a real high priority? Okay, great. Make sure that that's high. Do you want to be in a rural environment? Yeah, I think guiding them is really, really important. But you absolutely bring up such a great point. They're about, this is a major step. And they need to learn when you're still there so that you can help them through that. I think that people miss that. We're here to help them make the mistakes, because when they make a mistake, they'll have something to fall back on. When they get older, they won't have anything there. And so I think that's such an important part of being a parent. And the last one is advice to coaches. What's something, new coach that's coming up through the ranks? Maybe they're sitting in an assistant or a pitching coach or whatever it might be. I mean, you certainly you paid your dues, right? You bounced around. You did a lot of things. One of the things in your bio was the opportunity to really take a program and make it yours. What is some advice for some of those young coaches that maybe aren't at the place that they want to be?
Sure. Well, I think the advice that I would give any young coach that's number one, to listen, right? You're going to be around some great people, whether it be, in your current staff, recruiting, the conventions, the things that you listen and soak it all in, because at the end of the day, those are the music coach, because you're going to be able to take things in from the great, coaches and people you're around and be able to go, okay, I like that a lot. I want to take that and I want to use that. I want to implement that. At some point when I'm able to kind of run a program, or maybe I won't go down that road with that. But so I think for me is, especially for young coaches, because so many times as young coaches, we want to get out there and we want to do, and we want to jump in, and it's important to listen, right? And to watch, and you learn a lot from doing that, right? And so for me, it would just be kind of listen, watch, and you'll learn.
It's funny how the advice for baseball is kind of the same advice for life, right? It's kind of
right.
learn,
That's right.
listen, pay attention, ask questions, don't give up, don't, continue to drive, keep working hard. I think the blue collar mentality, it's kind of your theme is that, everything that you just brought into this is really that getting down and getting ready to work. And that has everything to do with the mindset, of where you want to go and just making the right, working hard at even the decision of what you want to do, right? It's not just on the field. It's in everything that you do. Coach, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you very much for joining us. This has been, I always love this meeting you guys. It just blows my mind. Coach Meckley is the one that has been helping me get a lot of these coaches.
Yeah.
And I swear every night I'm texting him and I go, man, these guys are great. And he actually texted me last night. He goes, are you surprised? Was I going to give you bad coaches? So
Sure.
I'm like, it wasn't that I didn't think they were good. It's over. They were above my expectations, right? So I think it's been a lot of fun.
Well, he's a great man. I've enjoyed being around Coach Meckley. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, great group of people out there. Coach, thank you. We're excited to watch your program and to keep in touch. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks.